We are live. Hello, everybody. All to Academy of Manifestation members here. We have an incredible guest today, David Saffer, whom I've been truly blessed to work with as my client. And I wanted to really today bring you on, David, because you have an incredible, not only your bio, but you're just an incredible individual. And I wanted you to really bring you on and for you to really share with us the knowledge that you have. And so welcome, David. So happy to have you on here. Do you want to introduce yourself, what you do, and what your background is?
Sure, Mariko, and thank you so much. It's great working with you and the other folks in our TIR program. I'm a business consultant by day and a serial entrepreneur by career. I've just been very blessed and very lucky. I started in consumer research and advertising, and somehow went into management consulting, and now really have a passion for taking all that learning that I've gathered over 20, 30 years and taking it to small business. And I remember being in the small business and looking back saying, wow, if I'd only known this, I've only done that. And I've been so blessed to work with some of the greatest marketing and brand and research gurus in the business. Just, my career went this way and that way. And I was so blessed to work with so many great people. So I think in a nutshell, I think early in my career, most of my work was about building businesses, growing top line revenue. Right. That seems like marketing and innovation. And then it moved into more profitability. So really working on the operations and tuning the dials to make, at the end of the day, so your EBITDA was stronger. And then the latter part of my career was about building people and helping them grow and nurturing managers and leaders. And then I came to a point, which brings us to the present, where, wow, I need some help. I've been very busy looking outward, and I'm just not right. I don't feel like I'm ready for the next step in my career. And I reached out to you by luck, and I've been so happy to be able to work with you and launch the next part of my career and helping others. So it's been a real pleasure to meet you and to be involved in your teaching.
I love that. And where did you find us, Kiseki Institute? Do you remember?
I think I went onto Google and said, "Holy Mother of, I need help with this, and this," and Google returned 700 billion answers in 0.7 seconds, and you were up there, and I just clicked on through, and I liked what you had to say, and then somehow your marketing got me on LinkedIn. Yes. And we started connecting that way. And I said, yes. Right. And we ended up having, we did a 1 week, fantastic 1 week with you. It was pretty intense, although it was over Zoom, but 1 week, every day we tuned in and so many things opened up during that time. I said, wow, this is really great. And then there was an opportunity to work with you for a longer period of time, and I jumped to that opportunity.
That's amazing. Oh, I didn't know that. That is absolutely incredible. David, I remember like our one-on-one conversation like yesterday, and you mentioned to me like you're not the typical coach that I hire. You don't have a gray hair, I remember that like yesterday, and yeah. What made you because I'm Asian, I'm female, I'm not a typical business coach. I have a very different way of delivering my teachings. What was it about that you said yes to the coaching?
Good question, and I don't know for sure there's a line in an Eminem song, I can't tell you what it really is, I can only tell you how I feel. And I think Rihanna does that with him. But the point was that we often, as a consultant, will often say to our clients, well, if you keep on doing the same thing over and again,
yes,
don't you expect to get the same result? And
yeah.
so I said, I need to step away from what I'm comfortable with. And that begins with who I'm going to follow, who I'm going to open up and allow to lead me and see things differently. And I thought that your perspective was something that was a stretch for me to buy into, but I appreciated the stretch, and it forced me to keep an open mind, and that's proven to my benefit. So thank you.
Oh my goodness! Thank you for taking that leap of faith. What has been, if you can share with the audience, so far, what has been the shift for you?
Well, a few things, probably. So the shift since working with you and the thinking into results, I think it's probably three things. One is, and so I also have to apologize and say thank you. It is incredible how quickly I learned something and then start applying it at work and to my teams. It's very, and I sometimes have to say to my teams, we're really going out here. I'm not really sure about all of this, but I want you to consider this. And it's from learning from our sessions. But I think there are three things. One is the knowing doing gap. One is the being in the now. And when the now means the end state and now, so living in the end state.
Yes.
And the third is a new understanding of what a stretch goal is, and how it's tied up with really the laws of the universe, which never ever crossed my mind before. So the first, so the knowing doing, the now, which is also the end, and the third is the stretch goals and the tying in of the goals to how the universe actually works. So.
And David, sorry to cut you off there, but a lot of the people who are listening in, not really sure, like what are they talking about? What is a knowing doing gap? Are you open to explain it to them?
So it is. It's amazing. So I'm fortunate to deal with a lot of folks in business and organizations who are typically smarter, more experienced, really know what they're doing.
Yes.
Know what to do and know how to manage other people. They're very senior, and yet when we try and figure out how come we're not getting to the next level, we'll then say, how come? And typically we can talk about what we need to do to get there. Well, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And then, well, why aren't we doing it? I don't know. And it's for my personal life, my business life, and for my customers, sometimes we know what to do, but we're not doing it. And it's either personal, like one person knowing and then not doing, or it's the team. The team generally knows what needs to happen.
Absolutely.
And we're not doing it. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. And unless we unpack those reasons, they won't get done. It takes some time to understand that often what it is either corporate patterns or personal patterns that prevent us from stepping out of those patterns to do different things to achieve the results we're looking for. So I know what to do, but I haven't typically done those things that way before.
Right.
And although I know I should, and I can do them maybe for a few days, and the team might get on this, but then we revert back to old ways of doing things. And so what thinking into results and what you've helped me do and my team is understand some of the paradigms or patterns that we're stuck in.
Yes.
And then not try and change them all at once. That would be impossible.
That would be a disaster.
But a few at a time to say, we're going to do this way, and to start getting rewarded for those small changes. And it takes some doing to do the things, right? And so the knowing doing is knowing what I'm doing, knowing what I need to do, and knowing what we need to do as a team, but then not doing it or not doing it consistently, and not realizing we don't know why we're not doing it. And so we needed to step back and go through a process to understand why that's not happening, what we need to do to change, and start changing those patterns.
That's huge, isn't it? Really?
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, we know what we're supposed to do, but we're not doing it. And we're like, why am I not doing it? I know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. And once you start to close the gap, it's like, oh my gosh, like results starts to begin to change.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, I think as kids, you know, or if you have kids, you know, sometimes you say, you know, you say to your kid, or my dad would have said to me, so David, why are you doing that? I don't know. Well, you know better. I know. So you're going to stop? I don't know. I don't know why. So there's things that we need to overcome, but just knowing we have to overcome them doesn't let us overcome.
And this is where thinking to results, reprogramming the mind, subconscious mind can be really powerful. Now, let's talk about the second point you talked about, living from the end as a person who have achieved the goal. What does that really mean?
Well, so I remember there was a point in working with you where you said you should repeat your goal 250 times. And I said, oh, you have to be kidding. Okay, that's a lot. He said, well, we have 30, 60,000 thoughts a day. I'm only asking for a few hundred. What it means is, well, I'll give an example. Bob gives an example in the videos and so on about a stick figure. And on a stick figure, there's a head and there's a body. And then there's a circle for the head, and the head is divided in two. And the top of the head is the conscious or experienced brain, and the bottom part is the unconscious. And what happens is the conscious brain, my brain, I get so much stimulation. We all get so much stimulation. How many screens can our kids be on? How much are we doing? How many emails, phone calls, everything we have to do? There's so much stimulation. All that's going on, and I'm dealing with that. And that all just filters right into the unconscious, the subconscious, and whatever goes to the subconscious is true.
Right.
So if I'm having limiting thoughts, if I'm having distracted thoughts, if I'm having my goals are different all the time, my subconscious there's no order to it. And moreover, in order for me to really commit and believe to something, my subconscious really has to believe it. There's a process that we've learned about thinking, feeling, doing, right? Action. And so I have to feel it. And so one of the things about having a goal is to repeat it, is repeat it over again, and to feel really great about actually having achieved it, and to pushing those thoughts into my subconscious. It's easy to put negative thoughts into my subconscious. It's easy to be resentful or to be angry with something, but it's a discipline to say, this is my goal, it's achieved, and to feel that on a regular basis. And then you end up after a day or two of doing this saying, oh, I can do anything. I'm doing this. And it's almost silly, which is one of the reasons I love this. It seems silly that just repeating a mantra about I'm so happy and grateful now that I am doing this and doing this and helping others this way. But how I feel is so amazing, and it's not limiting. I'm opening myself up to the universe to accept all it has, and there's so much there. So living in the now is where it's the end. And so I approach things different. So imagine how I would approach things if I'm limiting, or why do I have to do this, or I don't know if this is going to work. Versus, I'm so all over this. This is so great. I'm so happy that I'm doing this. My clients are so happy, and I'm so pumped to do it. It's a much better way of waking up and living each day. And that's what living in the now and living at the end at the same time. It seemed really silly, to be honest, that we just do this auto suggestion. But it's something I don't know how I live. I couldn't live without now.
Wow, this is amazing. And I remember you being a little bit hesitant, right? Like how I was hesitant, like, oh my gosh, like what is this, But once you start to do it, it's like, oh my God, the reward is huge. Reward is huge. And now I just love seeing you having, closing the gap each and every day, getting better and better. And then the results are shifting and signing up the new clients. And it's just really incredible to see, David. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And it's helped in both. I have I have my day job where I work, and I've met my sales goals already for the year, which is fabulous.
Wow.
Which is great. Yeah, it's fantastic. But my discipline isn't great. My structure wasn't great, and this has helped me improve my structure in my day-to-day work. Yes. And in the new business that we're building, yes. it's giving it rocket fuel. Yes. Right. It's just moving, and we have a goal for the end of this year. We have a goal for next year, and we're moving in the right direction to achieve those because we're living as if we have, and then feeling great about that and doing the work that needs to be done.
Beautiful. And so the last point that you mentioned there was, like this has really helped you expand your level of awareness in terms of the goal. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I'm a big fan of advertising and marketing. I grew up on it. I was weaned. I didn't have a baby bottle. I had TV commercials that I was fed on, and I love the great advertising people. One of them was a guy named Leo Burnett, who started his advertising agency in the Depression, and he was full of positivity. And on the desk of the office, they would put out fresh apples because they were so positive, although it was Depression. But he had a saying that other people have said as well, which is, if you reach for the stars, you may not get one, but you won't end up with a handful of dirt. And that's great, but the stretch goal. So reach for a big goal, and you'll try and get it. And okay. And when you're doing strategic plans for companies or for small businesses, you're saying, well, last year we did $300,000. This year, let's do 325,000. Let's figure out how we can do it.
Yes.
But let's do $1 million, or let's do 2 million. That's a stretch goal. But why would it work? And because the owner or the business has no experience doing $1 million, or the business doing 2 million or 3 million has no experience doing 10 million. But oftentimes as consultants, we're asking our clients to do a stretch goal because we're thinking our experience was, well, if you don't reach it, at least you'll go in the right direction, and growth matters, which is terrific. But what I didn't know, it's actually a law of the universe, is that we can will what we want into existence. And that makes, we can will what we want into existence. And I know that makes no rational sense. Because, I still had to, in order to have the coffee, I still had to go to the coffee machine and make the coffee. But our goals, what's limiting us? Why does this person make $1 million and this person not? 90% of it is attitude and mindset. And with the right attitude and mindset, the universe wants us to succeed. Yes. And through learning about time and time again, the patterns of mindset and behavior that lead to achievement are there. And then, so there's one thing to then hear you say it or hear Bob say it, another thing to read it in the book, and then to see it come true in my own life.
Yes.
So I can say to folks, with the folks on the call, it doesn't make any sense. You can't do the math around it, but you experience it. And the experience makes it real. I mean, that's all I can say. I think and I did not recognize that in the stretching of the goals, it's all about the belief. Yes. And so I'll finish on this. I think, so there's the universe wants to have it. I think you can share with the folks more about the universal laws, the law of attraction, the law of vibration, and so on, that we call feelings and so forth. But what's really phenomenal as well is in business, we have this idea of aligning the team. Yes. It's really important that we align the team, that all the members of the team have the same goal, and we're rowing in the same direction. But it's about belief.
Absolutely.
It's about belief, and that has to be a subconscious belief. It's not a rational belief that I think you can do it. It's almost a religious fervor around making this happen, and that belief leads to behaviors that will allow you to achieve the goals. And so for me, that philosophy or that pattern of thinking and believing has been very helpful.
Oh my gosh, I'm just having chills all over my body, David, because I never thought, don't take it the wrong way, David, but I never thought from you began. And when did you start the coaching with me? It hasn't been very long, has it? Is this summer?
3 months, 4 months, yeah.
Yeah, and never imagine this short period of time that you will start to talk about this universal laws. And to hear from you, it's all about the beliefs. It's incredible, David.
Well, thanks. I love the word. That word praxis. The belief to the behavior.
Yes.
You know, it matters. I mean, thinking, feeling, acting. I mean, there's a rhythm to it. There's a pattern to it. But if you don't believe, when you wake up in the morning and you skip gratitude, your day's off. Those people have a gratitude routine. If you skip that, your day's off. If you don't believe that you're going to achieve your goals and then you're in the process of achieving them, it's really hard to be motivated.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I mean, some people can be. They can force it for a little bit. I think it's called, like, if you're an alcoholic and you're a dry drunk, right? You haven't gone through the program, but you're trying to stay sober and you can.
Yes.
But you don't have the program. It's like if you're trying to succeed and you know you will succeed, it's pretty motivating. If you're not sure, if you don't really believe, it's tough.
Yeah, it's you know, and everything really comes down to belief, right? And even the you know, the knowing doing, yeah, why aren't you doing it? Because oftentimes we doubt and we're fearing and we're not taking, you know, like, well, what's the point? But when you truly believe, closing that knowing doing gap becomes very easy as well. Yes.
Yeah, my son's a sailor, and there was a heartbreaking moment when he said one day in the car on the way to a regatta that he's not going to win this. Because there's another guy who's a better sailor and so on. And so I could have just said, don't think like that. That's the wrong way of thinking. What do you do if you say that to a teenager? That's not going to work. But I felt for him about this is the limiting point. So we had to change the conversation. Well, what could you possibly do to win? What might you do? You remember you had one before? How did it feel?
Yeah.
And let him start talking around that, right? And I'm not a sports coach, so, but recognizing in myself was one thing. Seeing it in your kids, the limiting beliefs and so on. It's something that you really want to. It's amazing to become aware of that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so, and it's like now you're transferring your knowledge, what you're learning, to your children, right? Isn't that just incredible, Dave?
Yeah. And I just wish I could do it more consistently. But that's the half hour of study every day. That's the key.
Huge.
Yeah, but not more. You can't. There's something. I remember there's something that you had said around. I think I fell into this early on, which is, I should just really study a lot and do a lot of this speaking to adults and reading the books. But you can take a lot of time doing that and forget about your normal business. And so,
absolutely,
being disciplined to say, I'm going to spend a good half hour and then I'm going to get on with my day. And every day, if I just keep consistent at that, I'll know more and I'll do better. And that's been very helpful. Yeah,
that's so great, because if you're, and you know, I say this to everybody, if we're studying more than an hour and a half, you're being inefficient and unproductive, right? Like, you're not being productive. So, right. So yeah, it's great. Okay, David, there's one question that I always love to ask, because many of us here, all the members are business owners. And, you know, if we have been in business for a while, we often face challenges. And I would love for you to share with us, if you're open to it, of course, you know, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in business and how you overcame it?
Sure. Well,
I'm putting David on the spot here.
Sure. Well, I'll try and think of 3 experiences that I've had and one that's working out now. So I think the one was mental health issue. Had a breakdown, had lots of mental health issue, and had to work through it. And so I got the help I needed, thank goodness, and I came out the other side. And what I realized though is it would have been very easy to have not got help and muddled through, and who knows what would have happened then. I don't think it would have been very good. But I was very lucky to have support and be able to get the help. We would recognize that. So getting professional help, that was important. And then peer support help was helpful. A second, so get help if you need it, because there's business help and then there's psychological help or other help. Because sometimes you don't want to take care. You have trouble taking care of yourself because you're busy taking care of your team, your family, and everyone else.
Yes.
And I lost, we lost a really great guy in our industry 6 or 7 years back. Like the guy, the pinnacle of his career, had everything, and was asking for help, and ended up dying in a hospital. They didn't have a good enough watch on him. It was a terrible thing. So take care of your mental health. Because then you're more helpful to others. The second is I had a business with a partner, a great partner, and this is going back in time to 9/11, and half of our business was in the travel industry. I don't know how that happened, but after 9/11, all of our clients said, well, we still love you, but we don't know what our budgets are going to be for the next year. And we had a staff, and we weren't sure we were going to survive. And we had to make a decision. Like, we could have muddled through and tried to change our and work through, but we didn't. We made a decision. We're going to sell, and we're going to sell we're not at the top,
right?
But by selling, we'll make sure the team can be employed. So we want our team to be able to stay employed. We want some jobs, right? And then we'll help get to where we want to go with the next business. And so not letting our egos get in the way of, oh, we're not going to make $1 billion in this sale. We're not going to be a unicorn.
Yes.
So we had to make a risk. Do we try and muddle this out over the next 2 or 3 years? Let some people go and do this, or try and sell and get back on an upswing. So we'll own less of the company when we sell. We'll own a small share of the next company, and that's what we did. But it was hard on the ego,
of course,
to say, oh, we could blame it on the travel business going down, but we hadn't managed for that. We had too many eggs in one basket, right? But not let the ego get in the way of making the right decision.
Wow, that's huge. I love that lesson right there. Not get our ego in the way. And how often do we let our ego get in the way?
Oh yeah,
making the right decision. Yeah.
And so those are 2 things in my career. And then I guess recently is I've built and sold a couple of companies, and I've been lucky and had great partners and great teams in order to do that. And then I thought I was done. That's it. I'm just gonna, I'll be a consultant. I'll work a little bit, and then I got this. Oh, I should do it one more time. I should do this again, but I didn't know how. And then I found you. So finding the right coach, the right partner to help guide and push and prod and more than accountability, but someone who's gonna help you learn. Yes. Right. And you've been very helpful in that, and helping me get to the next level.
And mentor is everything. Like we probably could do it by ourselves, but why do we go on our own? Like probably gonna make lots of mistakes when we don't need to, when we have the right mentor, right? And so I personally have mentor in every area of my life, and I'm sure David, you do as well. David, for those who've been like, hey, I'm not sure if I should get on a call with Kiseki, Mariko. What would you say to them to find out more and about the coaching and all?
Well, the first 30 minutes are free. And I think it's a few things. One is, Mariko, you listen very well, and your thoughtfulness in your response is worth the time. The second is there's lots of coaches out there. I remember reading an article in the Atlantic many years ago about how many coaches there are in America, and there's lots. But you have to make a decision at some point. So for me, for this guy, Mariko's been fantastic, and I wouldn't be where I am today without her. Which is, and I don't know if that will be the same for other folks who are looking, but it's worth the conversation to know that. And it's only one conversation. You also have to do the work. What was really annoying was that it just wasn't one conversation. Everything is better, but doing the work, the conversations get even better. And sometimes I remember, I'll say with something in to Mariko, but we're gonna have to spend hours talking to you and so on and so forth. It's okay, you won't have to, but if you need more time, you can have more time. And now a 5-minute call could be perfect. Sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes 15 minutes, but a 5-minute call
yes,
can just set the rest of the week perfect.
Yes.
And so if you haven't had, if you've had a coach before, you'll know if Mariko's right for you. But if you haven't, it's worth investing your time and sharing some of her time to improve your life, improve your business.
Beautiful. Amazing. I'm just being so blessed to work with you, David. We just have so much fun. We have so much fun. And you know what I really love about you, David, is that we get on this 5-minute or 10-minute or 15-minute call, and then you apply it, you take the action, and you weren't taking action before, and now you're taking massive action and seeing the results. So I want to celebrate you. Yeah. Now, for those who are listening in and like, oh my gosh, like how do I learn more about what David does and the branding and the marketing and the consulting space? How can they reach out to you?
Love to hear from anyone or answer any questions or learn more about what other folks are doing. I'm on LinkedIn. That's probably the only social media. I think I have other social media accounts. If I do, it's primarily just as part of my research. I have to go on to other places, but LinkedIn, I'm pretty up to speed on. So David Saffer, I'm there. And there's not many of me. One is a sports writer in Britain. That's not me. So David Saffer, and davidsaffer.com is my website. So if you're interested in looking me up, David Saffer, that's where you'll find me.
Amazing. And we're streaming here in Facebook group, so you can also find David on the messenger and shoot him a message. Okay. Well, thank you so much, David, for coming on and sharing with us your experience and the ways that you overcame an obstacle. What do you have planned for the weekend coming up?
We're boarding some kids from out of town because there's an event out here on the East Coast, and so kids have come in from different parts of the country in America, and we're going to feed them and carpool them to their events for the next couple of days.
That's amazing. And you know what, David, you're an amazing dad. I love it. Beautiful. Have a wonderful weekend, David, and everybody here. And I really enjoyed this conversation. I know you're a busy guy. Again, thanks so much for coming on. And I'm sure that you enjoyed this conversation, who are listening in, as much as I did. Okay. Much love, guys. Take care.